So, on our agenda today, we're going to talk about why we ride transit and kind of the perks of riding transit. And really, the goal is to get you comfortable with how to ride transit. So, we're going to talk about how to get an ORCA card, how to use trip planning tools, how to ride, and then any transit tips that we have to share, as well as some fun trip destinations. And then at the end, we'll wrap it all up with a Q&A and discussion. So if you have any questions that come up as I'm talking, please put them in. There's a Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and just put them in as they come up. And then at the end, we'll go through them and answer some of those questions that you have. Great. So the first thing is why ride transit? Well, firstly, we're talking about this because June is Ride Transit Month. Happy Ride Transit Month. But also because transit is healthier for you and the environment. It uses a lot less, or creates a lot less greenhouse gases. It also is shown to be a lot less stressful than driving. It's also often the cheapest way to travel, especially if you have a subsidized ORCA card through your employer or if you have a discounted ORCA card in a different way. It's flexible to your lifestyle. If you need to start from your house, go to work, and then go somewhere else after work, you can do that. You don't need to bring a car or bike with you. You can just go. It's also easy if you don't have to think about parking, things like that. You just go. You just take that bus. Um, it's easy to access. There are lots and lots and lots of different bus stops placed across the city in a way that is easy for you to access. It's also convenient once you know how to ride. So let's get into it. So, like I said, the goal of this presentation is to get you ready to ride transit. So before you go, there's a few things you need to get started. The first is an ORCA card. So what is ORCA? This ORCA card is here at the bottom of your screen in the middle, and it allows you to take all of these different transit systems. The one on the left is Tacoma. The one on the middle right is like Everett. So it goes really throughout the entire Puget Sound region, which is really cool. And this one card allows you to ride all of these different systems. This is a little collage I made to show you also all of the other places that you can use your ORCA card. You can use it on the Seattle streetcar. You can use it on Sound Transit, buses, light rail, the Sounder train. You can use it on the King County Metro water taxi or community transit buses. So it really allows you to get all around the region with just one card, which is so, so cool. So where might you get an ORCA card? Well, the first might be your employer. A lot of employers offer this as a benefit for folks. And so you can ask your employer about that. I just dropped a link in the chat if you want to look into asking your employer for an ORCA card. Another place you can get them are kiosks. There's this little graphic on the right of your screen. And this is where you could get an ORCA card. And this map right here is all of the places that these kiosks are around the region. So you might see one near you. You might need to zoom in a little bit more, but I'll put that link in the chat as well. And then a third place that you can get an ORCA card is online. I'll put that link in the chat. And one thing about the online is that it's currently about 6 weeks until you will actually get your ORCA card. And so it's not a preferred way to get it because it'll take a while. But if it's easiest for you, then absolutely do it. The fourth way to get an ORCA card is through the Metro Customer Service Center. This is located in near downtown Seattle and has a way for you to get discounted ORCA cards via, being 18 or younger or 65 or older or any other of our like income restricted or government program cards as well. Let's see. So a few other ways to pay for your trip. One is through cash, and that would, I'm thinking bus. So if you get on the bus, specifically a King County Metro bus, you would get this like black and white ticket that's on the right corner. And one thing about paying in cash is you walk onto the bus, you give your bus driver your cash, you will not get any change in return. So make sure you're either giving exact change or you're okay with having a few extra cents gone. This is a transfer ticket that allows you to ride on any other bus for 2 hours with this ticket. Another place you can get a ticket is through a ticket machine, which again is this like worker card kiosk that we were looking at before. But they also all sell tickets to whatever you might be riding on. But again, same locations as the past, as here, I'll show you in the next slide. So you can also only buy tickets at these locations. And a great way to get tickets, my favorite way, besides the ORCA card, of course, is the Transit Go app. I'm going to put a link in the chat for the Transit Go app. And this is an app that you can download on your phone, and you can just buy a single ticket to wherever you are going. You do have to make sure you specify whether you're going to be on a Sound Transit Link train, on a Metro bus, maybe on the Seattle streetcar. So make sure you pay attention to that. But what we love about the ORCA card as the best way to pay for your trip is that it's really easy to go from one mode to another mode. So for example, I might be taking the bus to the light rail station, and if I do that, I need to buy, if I don't have an ORCA card, I have to buy a Metro bus ticket for the bus section, and that's $2.75. And then I need to hop on the link. But I would need to buy a Sound Transit Link ticket for that link section, which is $3. So my overall trip would be $5.75. But if I had an ORCA card, I would tap when I got onto the bus, and that would take $2.75 for my card. And then I would tap to get on the link, and it would only take another 25 cents to make that $3 fare. And so you save a lot of money just by using your ORCA card. And it also remembers if you get on a bus or the link within the next 2 hours, and so it doesn't charge you again, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're feeling good. We have an ORCA card or a way to pay for the bus. The next thing that we're going to do is look at route planning tools. So my favorite route planning tool we're going to start off with, which is Google Maps. A lot of us already have this on our phones for driving or walking directions. You can also use Apple Maps interchangeably. But we're going to use Google Maps today, and I'm going to do a demonstration of how we can use this tool. All right, is everyone seeing my screen? Google Maps, sweet. Okay, so this just opened a route from the Woodland Park Zoo. So say I'm like a Woodland Park Zoo animal, maybe a red panda. You've seen those? They're very cute. And I live in the Woodland Park Zoo. And I'm trying to get to the Commute Seattle offices in downtown Seattle. And so I say I'm coming from the Woodland Park Zoo and I'm going to the Commute Seattle offices. And Google Maps gives me a few different options for my route. Pretty cool. I'm going to change this button here. This will look pretty similar on your phone. You want to make sure you click transit instead of driving that. I'm going to click this button here, and I'm going to tell it that I need to be at work. We're going to plan for tomorrow too, because today already happened. I need to be at work at, say, 8:30. So it's going to give me, again, a few different options. You can see the one highlighted in red is the first one that it gives me, but there's also these other blue ones. So we're going to click details on this red one. It's showing me that it is about a 10-minute walk or half-mile walk from the Woodland Park Zoo to my bus stop right here at Aurora and 46th. And then I'm going to ride the E-Line 6 stops in 13 minutes to get to 3rd and Virginia. So let's go look at 3rd and Virginia. And I'm going to do an 8-minute walk, which is about 0.3 miles. So for me, that's fine. I'm a big walker, and that seems good. This is also the shortest route. I like that you don't have to change buses. But one thing I might not like, and I'll show you this, is Aurora's kind of a busy street. So if for some reason I'm coming from the other side, it might be tricky to get up to. This 46th Street is also a busy street. So I know that it might take a while for me to, cross this street, and that might be hard. Something I like to do is just take a quick street view look at the bus stop that I'm going to. We're going to be stopping right here. This is Aurora. You can kind of tell there's stairs right here, so we know that we're going to be coming up. Oh, it'll let us go there. Oh, goodness. Okay, we're going to kind of cross this way, and then it looks like go up those stairs to get to our bus stop. So those are some things that I like to do before I go. But let's look at these other routes. So another choice that I have, if I scroll down here, is to take the 5. It highlights this route in orange, well, yellow. And what I like about this route is it's really close to my panda's home. It also, I know that Finney and 55th is not that busy of an intersection, and so it might be really easy to cross, which I like. Let's take a look at this bus stop. Looks great right there. We know that we're going to be going on this side of the street because we're going to be going south, and this is the south side of the street. So we're going to be at that bus stop. I like that it looks like it has a seat so I can sit down if I have to wait for my bus for a while, but looks like an easy place to cross the street. That is great. And then, let's see, again, only 4 minutes of walking, and then it drops me off at 3rd and Virginia, which again is that same walk that I had on the way back. So I really like this route, actually. It is a few minutes longer, but I like that it's a lot less walking. And for me, that doesn't really matter. So I think I'm going to choose the 5. We're going to get on at Finney and 55th. All the other options are taking the E-line, so I'm really into this 5. Okay, we're going to close out of that. That's how to use Google Maps. Another great tool is One Bus Away, which is what you see on this picture of a phone right here. This is the most real-time, up-to-date information that you can get on metro buses or buses in Seattle about where they are and when they're coming. So essentially, you would click on your bus stop. For us, that's Finney and 55th. And it would tell you when all of the 5s are coming, when the next one's coming, and in how many minutes, and it's the most real-time information. It might say 1 minute late, 2 minutes early. It's a great thing to check just before you leave the house. Ferry Friend is the same thing as One Bus Away, but for ferries. So if you are taking the ferry, it's a great thing to check before you leave your house to see when the next ferry is coming. And then Find a Ride is also a great tool that I want to mention. I'm not going to dig into it today. I'll put the link in the chat. But it is a tool to use that is similar to Google Maps, but it has lots of different mobility options. So if you cannot walk that far, you can click I cannot walk that far. If you have to bring, a big walker with you, you can click that and it'll make sure that whatever choice, whatever transit you're riding has an option for you to store that with you. So please check that out. Again, very similar to Google Maps, pretty intuitive, but let me know if you have any questions on that. All right, we have an ORCA card. We have a route planning tool. That might be Google Maps, that might be Find a Ride, but we know those 2 tools. Now we're going to talk about how to ride. So we're going to find our stop or our station. For our imaginary bus ride to Commute Seattle, we looked at 55th and Finney. That was our stop. We looked on Google Maps. We saw where we were going to stand in that little bus thing. And so we would walk there. If you're taking the light rail, there's lots of different entrances to a lot of the stations. And so knowing which entrance you're going to go in is great. For me, if I take the light rail downtown, I always go through the Nordstrom entrance. So you want to make sure that you find that. When the bus comes or the link shows up, well, I guess for the bus, we'll start with the bus. When the bus shows up, you're going to enter through the front door and there'll be, you see on this bottom picture here, there's one of these like ORCA tap below things. You're going to tap your ORCA card right there. It'll make a little sound and then you just keep on going and sit down. If you're going to take the link, for example, at the entrance to the station, whichever entrance it is, there'll be a yellow line across the floor. And at the ends of those yellow lines, or maybe in the middle, there'll be one of the ORCA tap here buttons, which you can see on the top. That's actually at the monorail, but similar situation. And you would tap that before you get onto the link. So you don't do it once you get on, you do it before. The same goes for the Seattle streetcar too. The streetcar you tap before you get on. Great. So the bus shows up. You want to make sure you get down, you get in, you sit down, and make sure you stand clear of those doors. When they open, they kind of tend to push people that were standing near the doors away, and they also can't close if you're standing too close to the doors. All right, and then when it's almost your stop, remember for us, I think that's for 3rd and Virginia, they'll like announce it over the thing, and if it's for the bus, you pull the yellow string that should be near like the windows on the bus, and that will let the bus driver know that it is your turn to get off the bus. Um, the only other place where you need to remind them to like that it's your stop is the streetcar, but the link should stop, sounder train should stop, things like that. And then when you get to your stop, just exit out the back door of the bus and be on your way. And same with, the link or any other kind of transit, just head on out. You've done it. All right. So we have an ORCA card. We have a route planning tool. We know how to ride. You're ready to ride transit. So a few tips. One is to just follow the transit rules. They are different for every type of like public agency that you're riding with. So Sound Transit has their own rules versus Metro, but a lot of them are really similar. If you're interested, go ahead and look them up. But a lot of them are like, don't eat, don't drink, put your headphones in, like don't play music out loud, and be respectful. I like to check the arrival times of my bus right before I leave the house. Um, I know that sometimes if the bus is 5 minutes early, I'm not going to catch it. I am not at the bus stop 5 minutes early. So I really like to check one bus away. For me, a lot of folks, that's still Google Maps. But yeah, I like to check one bus away right before I leave my house to make sure that the bus isn't, 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late. And then the other thing is to have a backup plan. So if your bus is late or earlier, you miss it, what's your next plan? Are you going to take the next bus that comes? How soon is that coming? Or are you going to walk to a different station and take a different mode of transit to get where you need to go? It's really great to have those backup plans. So that's a tip for you. And then the last thing is to do something enjoyable during your trip. I see a lot of folks on the bus reading books, playing games. I know a lot of people play like the New York Times games on the way. I like to watch TikTok, but that's just me. So yeah, plan something enjoyable to do, make the ride worth it. Yeah. So moving on to some fun destinations, right? We've kind of looked at just a commute so far to work, which is really great because that is a great way to be using your ORCA card every single week workday. But there's so many cool places that you can go. One of my favorites is to go cheer on the Mariners. You can get there via Link Light Rail, the Sounder train, the streetcar, the bus. There's so many stations near the stadiums. And the parking is really bad there. It is expensive. And so it is awesome to be able to take public transit there and avoid that hassle. The next is to climb Mount Si. You can see Mount Si right here. Actually, there's snow on the top. So it's not quite in the summer in this picture. But Mount Si is accessible via the Trailhead Direct bus, which is a bus that only runs in the summer. It stops in Capitol Hill, downtown, Bellevue, and then Issaquah, and it takes you right to the trailhead for Mount Si, the hike. It's a great hike and it picks you up on your way back. Just make sure to check the timetable. But similar situation on a beautiful weekend, the parking lots are so busy and crowded. And you also avoid paying for the parking fee that is at a lot of those locations. So check that out. And then the last one is kind of an adventure, and that is to visit the Port Townsend area. You can do this by taking the ferry to Kingston, and then from Kingston, there's a bus that goes to Port Townsend that's completely free, which is very cool. In that area, the transit's free. And so it can be a very cheap trip. And one thing that's cool about this one is it's just as fast as driving, which is awesome. Like taking the bus and the ferry takes just as much time as driving. And I think that is so cool. Yeah, so wanted to share those with you all. And we are going to move on to questions. I have my email here below if you have any questions that are more personalized that you want help with. Feel free to email me. I'm happy to help you trip plan something.